All right, let's cut through the noise and get real. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted universe. The stars are out there, countless possibilities, relationships, connections, waiting for you to claim them. But here's the question I want you to ask yourself right now. Are you the guy who's just watching from the sidelines, or are you the one bold enough to build the rocket strap in and launch into that universe to shape your own destiny? That's not just a question about dating or attracting younger women. It's a question about your life, your purpose, and who you choose to be. And let me tell you, if you're an older guy, you've got a head start in this cosmic race. You've got experience, wisdom, um, a battle tested perspective that younger guys can only dream of. But here's the kicker: most of you are squandering that advantage, tripping over the same mistakes and crashing your ship before it even leaves the launch pad. Today, I'm here to change that. I'm going to walk you through the seven black holes, yes, black holes that are sucking the life out of your charisma, your confidence, and your ability to connect with younger women. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to escape their pull and become the man who doesn't just attract others, but redefines what's possible for himself. This isn't about cheap tricks or pickup lines. This is about igniting the fire within you and building a life that's so magnetic, the right people can't help but be drawn to your orbit. Let me take you back to a moment in my own journey. Years ago, when I was neck deep in building Tesla and SpaceX, I was so consumed by the mission electric cars, rockets to Mars, you name it, that I forgot how to connect with people outside my world of code and engineering. I'd walk into a room, maybe at some Silicon Valley event, and there'd be this vibrant, brilliant woman, full of energy, maybe 20 years younger than me. And you know what? I froze. Not because I didn't have anything to say, I've never been short on ideas, but because I put her on this pedestal. In my mind, she was this untouchable star, light years out of reach, and I was just some guy who hadn't slept in 72 hours, still smelling faintly of rocket fuel. I'd overthink every word, every gesture, trying not to mess it up, and guess what? I messed it up every time. I'd walk away feeling like I just failed a mission critical launch, kicking myself for not showing up as the man I knew I could be. Sound familiar? If you've ever felt that knot in your stomach, that voice in your head saying, she's out of your league, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was me, and I'm betting it's been you too. Here's the truth I learned, and it's the first spark I want to ignite in you today. The only thing holding you back isn't her, or your age, or your bank account. It's you. You're standing in your own way, and it's time to move. Older men have something younger guys can't touch. You've seen the world, weathered storms, built things, whether it's a career, a family, or just a life full of hard-earned lessons. That's your rocket fuel. That's your superpower. But too many of you are letting that fuel sit unused, leaking away because of seven critical mistakes that turn your strengths into weaknesses. These mistakes aren't just about dating, they're about how you show up in the world, how you carry yourself, how you seize the opportunities in front of you. And if you're making them, you're not just losing her respect, you're losing the chance to showcase the man you were meant to be. That's not just a misconnection, that's a tragedy, a wasted orbit around a star you could have claimed. Let's talk about why this matters. We live in a world that's moving at warp speed. Technology, culture, relationships, everything's accelerating. And if you're not adapting, you're getting left behind. Younger women, they're not looking for some cookie cutter guy who's chasing trends or flashing cash. They're drawn to men who know who they are, men who've got that rare combination of stability and fire, wisdom and audacity. You've got the raw materials to be that man. You've got the experience to offer something deeper, more meaningful than the average 20-something dude who's still figuring out how to pay his rent. But here's where it goes wrong. You're not leveraging that advantage. You're making mistakes that dim your light, that make you blend into the background when you should be the one commanding the room. And the worst part, these mistakes aren't hard to fix. They don't require you to become someone else, to fake it, or to sell your soul. They just require you to see where you're going wrong and commit to being the best version of yourself. Think about it like building a rocket. At SpaceX, we don't just slap parts together and hope for the best. We analyze every component, every system, every potential failure point, because one weak link can bring the whole mission down. Your life, your presence, your ability to connect, it's the same. Those seven mistakes I'm about to share with you, they're the weak links in your system, the flaws that are keeping you grounded when you should be soaring. And just like we iterate on a rocket design, you can iterate on yourself. You can debug the errors, strengthen the structure, and launch with confidence. That's what this talks about, not just avoiding mistakes, but building something extraordinary yourself. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Elon, this sounds great, but I'm not you. I'm not a billionaire with a rocket company. And you know what? You don't need to be. You don't need a Tesla or a Neuralink to be magnetic. You don't need to colonize Mars to command respect. What you need is the courage to look at yourself, to see where you're falling short, and to take action. That's the mindset that built everything I've done, the willingness to fail, learn, and keep pushing forward. And it's the same mindset that's going to transform how you show up in the world, whether you're talking to a woman across the table or chasing a dream no one else believes in. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you walk into a room and there's a younger woman, smart, vibrant, full of life. She's not just beautiful, she's got that spark, that energy that makes you want to know her story. Now, in that moment, you have a choice. You can shrink, let that old voice in your head tell you you're too old, too out of touch, too whatever. Or you can step up, own your space, and show her the man who's been through the fire and come out stronger. That's the man she's going to notice. That's the man who's going to make her think, whoa, this guy's different. But to be that man, you've got to stop sabotaging yourself. You've got to stop falling into the traps that make you look small, insecure, or inauthentic. Those traps, they're the 7 mistakes we're diving into today. They're the black holes that suck away your confidence, your presence, your ability to connect. And they're not just about dating, they're about how you live. Because here's the thing, attracting younger women, or anyone for that matter, isn't about some magic formula. It's about being a man who's so grounded, so authentic, so driven that people can't help but want to be around you. It's about building a life that's so compelling, it pulls others into your orbit. And that starts with tearing down the barriers you've built around yourself. Let's talk about what's at stake here. If you keep making these mistakes, you're not just missing out on a date or a relationship. You're missing out on the chance to live fully, to show the world what you're capable of. Every time you shrink back, every time you let insecurity win, you're dimming your own light. And that's not just a loss for you. It's a loss for everyone who could have been inspired by you, everyone who could have been touched by your story. You're not here to play small. You're here to build, to create, to leave a mark. And whether that mark is a relationship, a legacy, or a life well lived, it starts with getting out of your own way. So, what are these 7 mistakes? I'm not going to spill them all right now. That's what the rest of this talk is for. But I will tell you this, they're not what you think. They're not about having the perfect car, the perfect haircut, or the perfect pickup line. They're about the subtle ways you're undermining yourself, the habits you've fallen into without even realizing it. They're about the way you see yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you show up in the world. And once you see them for what they are, you can start dismantling them piece by piece until you're standing taller, stronger, more alive than you've ever been. Here's the promise I'm making to you today. If you stick with me, if you listen and take action, you're not just going to avoid these mistakes. You're going to unlock something bigger, a version of yourself that's fearless, magnetic, and unstoppable. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about stripping away the junk that's hiding who you are. It's about igniting that fire within you, the one that's been smoldering under years of doubt, routine, and missed opportunities. And when that fire is burning, you won't just attract younger women, you'll attract the life you were meant to live. Think about the greatest missions in history. Landing on the moon, building the internet, launching Falcon Heavy into orbit, they all started with someone saying, this is possible, and I'm going to make it happen. Your life is no different. You're on a mission, whether you realize it or not. And every mission has its challenges, its failures, its moments where you want to give up. But the ones who succeed, they're the ones who keep iterating, who keep learning, who keep pushing forward no matter what. That's who you need to be, not just for her, not just for the next date, but for you. So let's get to work. Let's debug the system, fix the weak links, and launch you into the life you deserve. The universe is waiting, and it's not going to wait forever. You've got the raw materials experience, wisdom, resilience. Now it's time to build the rocket. It's time to ignite the fire within. And trust me, when you do, you won't just be chasing stars, you'll be one. Let's do this. All right, let's keep the engines firing. We're on a mission to redefine who you are, to ignite that spark inside you and turn it into a blazing star that draws the right people into your orbit. In part 1, I told you about the 7 black holes, those insidious mistakes that are sucking the life out of your confidence, your charisma, and your ability to connect with younger women. These aren't just dating errors, they're barriers to living the bold, authentic life you're capable of. Today, we're diving into the first 2 mistakes, the ones that hit hardest because they come from within, idolizing younger women and fumbling the age question. These are the traps of self-doubt, the mental quicksand that pulls you down before you even get a chance to launch. But here's the good news. You can escape them. You can break free and become the man who doesn't just attract others but commands respect, starting with yourself. Let's strap in and tackle these head on with the same relentless drive we use to build rockets or rewrite the future. Because if you're going to live big, you've got to stop thinking small. Let's start with mistake number one, idolizing younger women. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop, maybe grabbing a black coffee after a long day. Across the room, there's a woman vibrant, confident, maybe 20 years younger than you. She's got this energy, this spark that makes the whole place feel alive. And in that moment, something happens. Your brain flips a switch, and suddenly, she's not just a person anymore. She's a supernova, a celestial being, light years out of your reach. You start thinking, she's too perfect. I can't mess this up. What if I say something dumb? And before you know it, you're frozen. You either avoid talking to her altogether, or worse, you overcompensate, trying too hard to be polite, agreeable, perfect. You stick to safe, boring, small talk, tiptoeing around anything that might upset her. You're not connecting, you're auditioning. And let me tell you, that's not a rocket launch. That's a crash landing. I've been there. Let me take you back to a moment in my own life. Early days of SpaceX, I'm at a tech conference running on fumes after a 100-hour work week. There's this woman, sharp as a tack, full of ideas, probably a decade younger than me. I wanted to talk to her, not just about tech, but about life, dreams, the universe. But my brain went into overdrive. I thought, she's going to think I'm some out-of-touch nerd who lives in a lab. So I played it safe. I asked her about her startup, nodded like a robot, and avoided saying anything real. By the end of the conversation, I could tell she was bored. I walked away feeling like I'd just blown a mission-critical test. And you know why? Because I put her on a pedestal. I turned her into this untouchable ideal, and in doing so, I made myself smaller. I handed over my power before the conversation even started. Here's the truth. When you idolize someone, you're not just elevating them, you're diminishing yourself. You're telling yourself, I'm not enough. And that mindset, it's a black hole. It sucks the life out of your confidence, your authenticity, your ability to connect. Younger women don't want a guy who's groveling at their feet trying to win their approval. They want someone who stands tall, who meets them as an equal, who brings something real to the table. When you put her on a pedestal, you're not showing respect, you're projecting insecurity. And insecurity isn't just unattractive, it's exhausting. It makes every interaction feel like a high-stakes performance, and nobody wants to date a performer. They want a partner. So, how do you fix this? You've got to rewire how you see her. She's not a supernova. She's a person just like you, flawed, quirky, human. She's got her own doubts, her own dreams, her own bad days. The moment you realize that, the pedestal crumbles. And the way to get there is simple, but not easy. Start talking to women, all kinds of women, without attaching so much weight to the outcome. Go to a coffee shop, a bookstore, a networking event, and strike up conversations, not to win anything, but to practice being yourself. Ask a woman about her day, her passions, her favorite sci-fi movie. Listen, share a little of yourself, and move on. Do this enough, and you'll see there's no league you're out of. You'll stop seeing younger women as trophies and start seeing them as people you can connect with or not. And that's the key. It's a two-way street. She's not judging you from some cosmic throne. She's figuring out if you're compatible just like you are. Think of it like debugging code. At Neuralink, when we hit a bug, we don't just stare at the screen and panic. We break it down, test it, iterate until it works. Your interactions are the same. Every conversation is a test run, a chance to refine your approach. The more you do it, the less you'll care about messing up, because you'll realize there's always another chance, another person, another orbit. That's where your power lies, not in chasing one star, but in knowing the universe is full of them. So stop idolizing her. She's not your mission. Your mission is to be the man who walks into any room and owns it, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Now, let's move to mistake number two, messing up the age question. This one's a doozy, because it's where a lot of guys crash and burn. You're having a great conversation, the vibe is good, and then she hits you with it. So, how old are you? And just like that, your confidence takes a nosedive. You start sweating, stammering, maybe blurting out your age like it's a confession, or worse, dodging the question like you're hiding a war crime. Your body language shifts, shoulders slump, eyes dart away, and suddenly, the guy she was vibing with looks like he's about to eject from the cockpit. I've seen it, I've done it, and it's a mistake that can tank your momentum faster than a Falcon 9 booster missing its landing. Let me share another story. Back when I was scaling Tesla, I was at a dinner party chatting with this incredible woman artist, thinker, full of life. We're talking about everything from electric cars to the meaning of life, and it's flowing. Then she asks, "Hey, Elon, how old are you?" And I choked. I mumbled something like, old enough, and tried to laugh it off, but my voice cracked, and I could feel the energy shift. She didn't say anything, but I knew I just signaled that I was insecure about my age, and if I'm insecure, why should she be confident in me? That moment stuck with me, because it wasn't about the number, it was about how I handled it. I let society's baggage, that voice saying, older men shouldn't date younger women, creep into my head and derail me. Here's the deal. Your age isn't the problem. The problem is how you frame it. If you act like your age is a flaw, she'll see it as a flaw. If you flinch, she'll flinch. But if you own it, if you stand tall and treat it like a non-issue, she'll follow your lead. Society loves to throw shade at older guys dating younger women, telling you it's inappropriate or creepy. And that pressure can worm its way into your psyche, making you feel like you're doing something wrong just by being interested. But let's get real. There's nothing wrong with connection, with attraction, with two people finding something real. The only thing wrong is letting self-doubt sabotage you. So, how do you handle the age question like a pro? You've got two options, playful or direct, but both require confidence. If you're feeling playful, diffuse the tension with a little humor. Try something like, I'm 600 months young, how about you? With a sly grin. Or, I'm old enough to know better, but young enough to do it anyway. That kind of response doesn't just answer the question, it sets a vibe, shows you're comfortable in your skin. If humor's not your thing, go direct. Look her in the eye, smile, and say, I'm 47. Pause for a beat, let it land, then steer the conversation back to something real like, so what's the one thing you'd do if you had a year on Mars? The key is to show her your age is just a number, not a barrier. Confidence is your thruster, Hiret propels you forward no matter the question. Think about it like landing a rocket. At SpaceX, when we bring a booster back to Earth, we don't panic if the wind's off or the trajectory's tricky. We adjust, we trust the system, we execute. The age question is your landing moment. Don't flinch, don't overcorrect, just trust yourself and stick the landing. Because here's the truth. Younger women aren't hung up on your age unless you are. They're drawn to your experience, your stability, the way you carry yourself. When you own your age, you're not just answering a question, you're framing yourself as a man who's been through the fire and come out stronger. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you magnetic. These two, mistakes idolizing her and fumbling the age question, come from the same root, self-doubt. It's the voice in your head that says you're not enough, that you don't belong in her orbit. But let me tell you something, you do belong. You've earned your place in this universe not because of your age or your resume, but because of who you are. Your mission isn't to impress her, it's to show up as the man who's unafraid to be himself. So start debugging those mental bugs. Talk to women without overthinking. Own your age like it's a badge of honor. Escape the trap of self-doubt, and you'll be amazed at how the world starts to see you differently. We've got 5 more mistakes to tackle, but if you can master these two, you're already halfway to the stars. Let's keep building that rocket. The universe is waiting. We're deep in the mission now, folks. We've ignited the fire within, debugged the self-doubt that keeps you grounded, and started building the rocket that's going to launch you into the life you deserve. In part 2, we tackled the first two, black hole, idolizing younger women, and fumbling the age question, those mental traps that dim your light before you even get off the launch pad. Today, we're diving into mistakes 3 and 4, leading with money and positioning yourself as a mentor. These are the errors that make you hide your true self behind a facade, whether it's a stack of cash or a teacher's podium. They're not just mistakes in dating, they're mistakes in living. They're the ways you sell yourself short, trading authenticity for approval. But here's the deal, you're not here to play small. You're here to shine like a star, to show the world and younger women who you really are. And to do that, you've got to stop letting money or roles eclipse the man you were meant to be. Let's fire up the thrusters and dive in, because this is where you start building connections that are real, not transactional. Let's kick off with mistake number 3, leading with money. I get it, you're an older guy, you've worked hard, maybe built a career, a business, or a nest egg that gives you stability. You're proud of it and you should be, but too many guys think that flashing their wallet is the key to winning over a younger woman. They pull out the big guns, talking about their high-flying job, their beach house in Malibu, the Tesla Model S in their garage, or the five-star restaurants they hit every weekend. Some even go further, buying gifts, footing bills, or sending Venmo payments to women they barely know. They think, if I show her what I've got, she'll see my value. But let me tell you something, that's not a connection, that's a transaction. And when you lead with money, you're not setting yourself up to be desired, you're setting yourself up to be used. I've been there. Let me take you back to a time when I was scaling SpaceX. We just landed a big NASA contract and I was feeling on top of the world. I'm at this fancy gala surrounded by brilliant people, and there's this woman, sharp, creative, full of energy. I wanted to impress her, so I started talking about the rockets, the contracts, the vision for Mars. I thought, this is my ace card. She's got to be wowed. But halfway through my spiel, I saw her eyes glaze over. She wasn't connecting with me. She was sizing up what I could offer. Later, I realized she wasn't interested in me as a person. She was interested in what my success could do for her. And you know what? That wasn't her fault. It was mine. I led with the wrong thing. I turned myself into a walking ATM instead of a man with a story, a spark, a reason to be in the room. Here's the truth. Money is attractive because it signals stability, ambition, success. But if that's all you're bringing to the table, you're not building a relationship, you're building a balance sheet. When you lead with your wallet, you attract people who are looking for what you can give them, not who you are. And those connections, they're hollow. They're the kind of relationships that collapse the moment the cash flow slows down or someone with a bigger bank account shows up. Worse, when you make money the centerpiece, you're telling her you don't think you're enough without it. You're saying my value is in my stuff, not in me. And that's not just a dating mistake, it's a life mistake. It's letting your achievements overshadow your humanity. So, how do you fix this? Stop making money the star of the show. Let your success be the backdrop, not the script. When you're talking to um, a younger woman, focus on what makes you, your passions, your humor, the way you see the world. Share a story about a time you took a risk, like the time I bet everything on Tesla when everyone said it would fail. Not to brag, but to show what drives you. Ask her about her dreams, her challenges, the things that keep her up at night. Build a connection that's about ideas, not invoices. Your financial success, it'll show itself naturally, maybe in the way you carry yourself, the confidence you exude, the way you don't sweat the small stuff, but don't shove it in her face. A star doesn't need to announce it's bright, it just shines. Think of it like designing a car at Tesla. We don't build the Model S to scream, look at how expensive I am. We build it to perform, to feel right, to make you want to drive it forever. Your presence should be the same, polished, powerful, but not shouting for attention. The women worth your time aren't looking for a sugar daddy. They're looking for someone they can connect with, someone who sees them as more than a status symbol and expects the same in return. When you lead with your character, you set the stage for a relationship built on respect, not receipts, and that's worth more than any bank account. Now, let's move to mistake number 4, positioning yourself as a mentor. This one's sneaky because it feels like you're doing the right thing. You meet a younger woman, she's full of potential, maybe figuring out her career or her place in the world. You think, I've been around the block, I can help her. I'll show her the ropes, give her advice, be her guide. So you start playing the wise sage, offering career tips, life lessons, maybe even helping with her startup pitch. You think, she'll see how valuable I am, and eventually she'll fall for me. But here's the problem. When you position yourself as a mentor, you're not building a romance, you're building a classroom. And nobody dates their professor. I learned this the hard way. Back when I was working on Neuralink, I met this incredible woman at a tech meetup. She was young, ambitious, trying to break into the AI space. I saw so much potential in her, and I thought, I can help. So I started giving her advice, how to pitch investors, how to navigate the industry, the works. We'd meet for coffee, and I'd spend hours breaking down strategies, thinking I was winning her over. But when I finally hinted at something more, she looked at me like I just suggested we colonize Jupiter. She said, Elon, I thought you were just being a mentor. Ouch. I'd spent all that time building respect, but I'd killed any spark of attraction. I wasn't her equal, her partner, I was her coach. And that's not what she was looking for. Here's why this happens. When you play the mentor, you strip away the chemistry, the flirtation, the tension that makes a relationship exciting. You become someone she admires, maybe even trusts, but not someone she sees as a romantic partner. And when you finally make a move, it feels out of left field, awkward, forced, like a plot twist nobody saw coming. The root of this mistake is fear. You're afraid to show your real intentions, so you hide behind the helpful guy role, thinking it's safer. But safe is the enemy of attraction. Safe is how you end up in the friend zone, respected but not desired. So, how do you avoid this trap? Be upfront with your energy from the start. You don't have to declare your undying love in the first 5 minutes, but you need to set a vibe that's playful, engaging, maybe a little flirty. Sprinkle in light compliments, tease her about her coffee order, share a story that shows your human side, not just your resume. If you're talking to that ambitious woman, sure, offer a piece of advice, but don't make it the whole conversation. Ask her what fires her up, what she'd do if she could change the world. Show her you're not just a mentor, you're a man with dreams, desires, and a spark of your own. Think of it like a SpaceX launch. You don't just fire the engines and hope. You set the trajectory early so everyone knows where you're headed. Balance is key here. You've got wisdom, experience, use it, but don't let it define you. Be the guy who's wise enough to offer insight, but bold enough to have fun. At Tesla, we design cars that are practical but also thrilling to drive. Your interactions should be the same, grounded but electric. When you stop hiding behind the mentor role, you open the door to something real. You show her you're not just here to teach, you're here to connect, to share a journey, to build something together. These two mistakes, leading with money and playing the mentor, come from the same flaw. You're letting external things define you. Money, roles, status, they're tools, not your identity. Your real power lies in who you are when the wallet's closed and the podium's gone. It's in your courage, your authenticity, the way you make people feel alive just by being around you. Stop eclipsing that with distractions. Let your true self shine, and you'll draw the right people into your orbit, not because of what you have, but because of who you are. We've got 3 more mistakes to conquer, but if you can master these, you're already building a rocket that's ready to soar. Let's keep pushing. The stars are closer than you think. We're burning through this mission, and the stars are getting closer. We've ignited the fire within, broken free from self-doubt, and stopped letting money or roles dim our light. In part 3, we tackled leading with cash and hiding behind the Mentor facademic mistakes that bury your true self under distractions. Now, we're diving into mistakes 5 and 6, trying too hard to look young and overloading conversations with your achievements. These are the traps that make you chase shadows, pretending to be someone you're not, or shouting your worth instead of letting it shine naturally. If you want to connect with younger women or live a life that's truly magnetic, you've got to stop running from who you are and start embracing it. This isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about building a version of yourself that's so authentic, so unapologetic, it pulls the universe toward you. Let's fire up the engines and dive in, because we're not here to play small, we're here to redefine what's possible. Let's start with mistake number 5, trying too hard to look young. I see it all the time, guys in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, thinking they need to act like they're fresh out of college to catch a younger woman's eye. They throw on skinny jeans that don't fit, toss around slang like lit or yeet that sounds forced, or chase trends that scream, I'm trying way too hard. Maybe they're hitting the club scene, blasting TikTok dances, or dyeing their hair jet black to hide the gray. And you know what? It doesn't work. It's like watching a rocket try to fly with the wrong fuel. It sputters, it stalls, it crashes. Younger women don't look at that and think, wow, he's cool. They think this guy's insecure about who he is. And that's the opposite of attractive. Let me take you back to a moment in my own journey. When I was ramping up Neuralink, I got invited to this trendy startup party in San Francisco. Everyone there was at least 15 years younger, sipping craft cocktails and talking about the latest crypto craze. I thought, all right, I'll blend in. So I showed up in this flashy jacket I'd never wear, tried dropping some buzzwords I'd overheard, and even attempted to vibe with the EDM blasting in the background. Halfway through the night, I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror and thought, who the hell is this guy? I was playing a role, and it felt like I'd betrayed my own mission. There was this woman there, bright, curious, full of energy, and I wanted to talk to her. But instead of being myself, I was trying to be some wannabe tech bro. She wasn't impressed. She was confused. I walked away knowing I'd fumbled a chance to connect, not because of my age, but because I wasn't authentic. Here's the truth. Trying to look young doesn't make you appealing, it makes you look like you're running from yourself. Younger women aren't drawn to older men because they act like 20-somethings. They're drawn to the confidence, the experience, the stability that comes with age. When you chase youth, you're throwing away the very qualities that make you stand out. You're saying, I'm not enough as I am, and that insecurity is like a solar flare. It repels everyone in its path. Authenticity, on the other hand, is a gravitational pull. It's what makes you magnetic, what makes her think, this guy knows who he is, and I want to know more. So, how do you fix this? Embrace your age like it's your launch code. You don't need to look like you're 25. You need to look like the best version of you right now. Invest in a wardrobe that's sharp and timeless, a well-fitted blazer, clean lines, colors that work for you. Think Tesla's design, philosophize leak, functional, iconic. Get a haircut that's modern but suits your face, not some boy band fade. Hit the gym, not to chase a six-pack, but to feel strong, to carry yourself like a man who respects his body. I'm not saying you need to bench 300 pounds, but moving your body, whether it's a 3-mile run or a yoga class, gives you energy, and energy is contagious. And when it comes to conversation, don't try to sound like her little brother. Speak from your experience, your wisdom, the things you've learned from decades of navigating this crazy universe. That's your superpower. A younger guy can't compete with the stories you've got, the perspective you bring. So stop trying to be him, be you. Think of it like building a rocket at SpaceX. We don't try to copy someone else's design, we innovate, we build something that's uniquely ours. Your life is the same. You're not a knockoff of a younger model, you're a one of a kind prototype, battle tested and ready to soar. When you lean into that, you don't just attract younger women, you attract everyone who values substance over flash. So ditch the fake youth. Gray hair, own it. Laugh lines, they're proof you've lived. Be the man who walks into a room and doesn't need to prove anything because his presence says it all. Now, let's tackle mistake number 6, overloading the conversation with your achievements. This one's a trap because it feels like you're showing your value. You're an older guy, you've done things, built a career, maybe started a company, traveled the world, or just survived life's curveballs. You're proud of it, and you want her to know you're a catch. So you start unloading the big promotion you got, the startup you sold, the time you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. You think, this'll impress her, she'll see I'm high value. But here's what really happens. Her eyes start glazing over. She's not connecting with you, she's listening to a resume. And instead of feeling drawn in, she feels pushed out, like there's no room for her in the conversation. I've fallen into this one myself. Back when I was pushing Tesla through its toughest days, I met this woman at a sustainability conference's mart, passionate, full of ideas about renewable energy. I wanted her to know I was serious, so I launched into a monologue about Tesla's mission, the Gigafactory, how we were revolutionizing the auto industry. I thought I was killing it, but about 10 minutes in, she politely excused herself to grab a drink. She never came back. Later, I realized I'd turned our chat into a TED Talk. I wasn't talking with her, I was talking at her. I was so focused on proving my worth that I forgot to connect, to listen, to make it a two-way street. And that's not attraction, that's alienation. Here's why this happens. When you overload the conversation with your achievements, you're not sharing, you're compensating. You're worried she won't see your value, so you try to force it down her throat. But attraction isn't built on a list of accolades. It's built on connection, on shared moments, on feeling seen and heard. Younger women aren't looking for a PowerPoint of your life. They want someone who's present, who's curious about them, who makes them feel like they matter. When you dominate the conversation, you're not showing confidence, you're showing neediness. You're saying, please validate me, and that's a vibe killer. So, how do you fix this? Keep your achievements in your back pocket. They're part of your story, but they're not the whole book. Instead of leading with what you've done, focus on what's happening right now. Her thoughts, her passions, the moment you're sharing. Ask questions that dig deeper than small talk. If she's into art, don't just note ask, what's the one painting that changed how you see the world? If she's talking about her job, don't one-up her with your corner office story. Ask, what's the toughest challenge you're facing there? Listen, really listen, and share pieces of yourself that fit the flow. Maybe mention a lesson you learned from a big win or a brutal failure, but keep it brief, tied to her story. Let her discover your value over time, like peeling back the layers of a starship's design. Think of it like coding at Neuralink. We don't dump the entire code base on the user, we build an interface that's intuitive, that invites exploration. Your conversations should be the same, engaging, balanced, leaving her wanting more. A confident man doesn't need to broadcast his worth. His demeanor, his curiosity, his presence do the talking. When you shift the focus to her, to the connection, you create something real, something that feels like a shared mission, not a solo performance. These two mistake a string to look young and overloading with achievements come from the same root. You're chasing shadows instead of owning your truth. You're trying to be what you think she wants, rather than the man you are. But here's the thing, the man you are is enough. Your age, your experience, your story, they're not liabilities, they're assets. Stop running from them. Embrace them like you'd embrace a new frontier, with boldness and conviction. You're not here to mimic someone else's orbit, you're here to carve your own. We've got one more mistake to tackle, and then we'll bring this rocket home. Keep your eyes on the stars, because we're almost there. We're in the final stretch of this mission, and the stars are within reach. We've torn through the barriers holding you back, self-doubt, false facades, chasing shadows, and built a rocket fueled by authenticity, confidence, and purpose. In part 4, we dismantled the mistakes of trying to look young and overloading conversations with achievements, mistakes that make you hide your true self behind a mask. Now, we're tackling the final mistake, neglecting your physical presence and bringing this journey home with a vision that's bigger than dating, bigger than attraction, bigger than you. This is about becoming the man who doesn't just connect with younger women, but sets the universe ablaze with his existence. Mistake number 7 is the last weak link in your system, and once we fix it, you're not just launching, you're becoming a star that others orbit. Let's ignite the final thruster and make this count. Because you're not here to drift through life, you're here to burn bright, to redefine what's possible, and to live a life that echoes across the cosmos. Let's dive into mistake number 7, neglecting your physical presence. This one's a killer, not because it's about vanity, but because it's about respect. Respect for yourself, your body, your energy. Too many older guys fall into the trap of thinking their achievements, their wisdom, their bank account are enough to carry them. They let their grooming slide, wear clothes that haven't seen a tailor since the 90s, or stop taking care of their health because life's too busy. Maybe the beard's gone rogue, the gut's creeping out, or the sneakers look like they've run a marathon through a mud pit. And you know what? That's not just a style choice, it's a signal. It's telling the world and younger women that you've stopped investing in yourself. And if you don't value your own presence, why should anyone else? Attraction isn't just about your mind or your resume. It's about the whole package, the way you show up in the world, the energy you bring to the room. I've been guilty of this. Let me take you back to a time when I was grinding through the early days of SpaceX and Tesla, working 120-hour weeks, sleeping under my desk, living on coffee and adrenaline. I was so focused on the mission-building rockets, electrifying the auto industry that I let myself go. My hair was a mess, my clothes were whatever I grabbed from the laundry pile, and I hadn't seen a gym in months. I'd show up to meetings looking like I'd just crawled out of a server room, and I thought it didn't matter because my ideas were big. But then I met this woman at a tech summit, sharp, driven, full of life, and I wanted to connect. We started talking, but I could tell something was off. She was polite, but her eyes kept drifting, like she couldn't quite take me seriously. Later, I caught my reflection in a glass door, unshaven, rumpled, bags under my eyes. I wasn't presenting a man who was ready to conquer the universe. I was presenting a man who'd given up on himself. That hit me like a failed rocket landing. It wasn't about her, it was about me. I was neglecting the vessel that carried my mission. Here's the truth. Your physical presence isn't about looking like a Hollywood star or a 25-year-old gym bro. It's about showing the world you respect yourself enough to show up as your best. Younger women are drawn to older men because they exude strength, stability, a sense of having their act together. But when your appearance screams, "I've checked out," it creates a disconnect. It's like launching a rocket with a cracked hull. It doesn't matter how powerful the engines are if the structure is falling apart. Your grooming, your style, your health, they're not superficial. They're extensions of your self-worth, your discipline, your fire. And when you neglect them, you're dimming the very light that makes you magnetic. So, how do you fix this? Start with the basics and build from there. Grooming is your launch pad. Keep your facial hair trimmed or shaved clean, nails clipped, teeth brushed. Get a haircut that's modern but fits your vibes. Think clean lines, not a boy band mop. I'm not saying you need a $200 barber, but find someone who knows what they're doing and stick with them. Next, upgrade your wardrobe. Ditch the baggy cargo shorts and faded polos. Invest in clothes that fit, tailored jackets, crisp shirts, jeans that don't sag. Aim for timeless, a leather jacket, a white button down, boots that say you mean business. At Tesla, we design cars that look good and perform better. Your style should do the same. You don't need a runway budget. Um, a few quality pieces from a place like Nordstrom or even a good thrift store can go a long way. And most importantly, prioritize your health. You don't need to run a marathon or deadlift 400 pounds, but move your body, walk 5 miles a week, lift weights twice a week, eat real foodless, processed junk, more vegetables and protein. I started doing 30-minute workouts during SpaceX's crunch times, and it didn't just change how I looked, it changed how I felt. Energy is your currency, and health is how you earn it. Think of it like maintaining a starship. At SpaceX, we don't let the Falcon 9 sit in a hangar collecting dust. We inspect it, tune it, make sure it's ready to fly. Your body, your presence is your starship. Keep it sharp, and it'll carry you anywhere. When you walk into a room looking like you've got your act together, clean, fit, confident, you're not just attracting her, you're commanding respect from everyone. And that respect, it's contagious. It's the kind of energy that makes people want to be in your orbit, whether it's a younger woman or a business partner. Now, let's bring this mission home. We've walked through 7 mistakes idolizing her, fumbling the age question, leading with money, playing the mentor, chasing youth, bragging about achievements, and neglecting your presence. Each one is a weak link, a bug in your system that's holding you back from the life you're meant to live. But here's the bigger picture. Fixing these mistakes isn't just about attracting younger women. It's about becoming the man who doesn't need to chase anyone because his life is so compelling, so authentic, so full of fire that the right people are drawn to him naturally. This is about you, your growth, your purpose, your legacy. Let me leave you with a vision. Imagine you're standing on the surface of Mars, looking back at Earth, knowing you've built something extraordinary, not just a company or a relationship, but a life. Every mistake you've overcome, every habit you've rewired, every step you've taken to become your best self is a piece of that legacy. You're not here to play small, to shrink back, to let doubt or fear clip your wings. You're here to burn bright, to be the fire that lights the universe. And that starts with one decision: to stop sabotaging yourself and start building the man you were meant to be. At SpaceX, we don't launch a rocket and hope it works. We plan, we test, we iterate because failure isn't the end, it's data for the next try. Your life is the same. These 7 mistakes, they're your test flights. You've crashed before, we all have, but every crash teaches you something. Use that data, debug your system, keep iterating, because every step you take, every conversation you own, every choice to show up as your true self is a step closer to the stars. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just listen to this and nod. Act. Pick one mistake. Maybe it's cleaning up your grooming. Maybe it's stopping the achievement dump, and start today. Make a change, no matter how small. Get a new shirt. Go for a walk. Ask a woman about her dreams instead of listing your resume. Build momentum because momentum